Woohoo! So my package came in, the rebuild package of everything I bought for the scooter, so we're going to open it up. Oh my gosh, I haven't even opened it up yet. I just cut it open. Wow, look at all the packaging. Oh, look at this piece. I got a nice piece of paper. Oh, and he sent me another colored piece of paper. That's going to work well on my scooter. Wow. Okay, here is the crankshaft. That is the brand spanking new crankshaft. Just going to put that right there. This is something in the box. Brake shoes. Bought some brake shoes. What's this? Gaskets inside. Ooh, gaskets. Another piece of paper. And ooh, nuts, bolts, and the bearings. And some more boxes. Boxes. And some more paper. Ooh, look at that. Look at that. Everybody, look at that. The gasket for the thingamabob. Yeah. So that's the end of the boxes. But you know what? There has been instances where I have thrown things away that were trapped in the packaging. So you got to make sure there's nothing left in the packaging. There's nothing left in there. No. This one's fine. This one's fine. This one's fine. Okay. Now we're going to put this aside. I'm just going to throw it right there for now. Okay, so let's look at our stuff here. We got that gasket between the cover, right? We got our brake shoes. Yes. Ooh, let's look at our nicely greased effing piston thingamabob, crankshaft. Ooh, nice. It's sticky. Yeah, I'm gonna put my phone down for a minute. There we go. All right. Look at that, is nice. Wow. And then we got our bearings. Stuff in here. Let's take everything from here out. Oh, these are the screws for the body. I bought a whole bunch of screws for the body, not to mention the cover, the belt cover. That's what those are. Ooh, this is the little bearing, that part right there. Okay, that's what that is, yay. The big bearing, which slides onto here, onto there like that, huh? There's one. And the seals, look at that. The seals for both sides. There's two different ones. There's one on one side and one on the other. And these here, these more screws. Okay, screws. All right, so this box. What does this box have? Oh, well, what do you know? It's the gas tank cover. Remember how I said that the one that I had there was like shredded because somebody went and sheared it off? And these are the keys that go with it. We'll have to see if those fit, because they might not. I was hoping that sometimes they do, sometimes they don't, but we'll find out. What's in here? Oh my gosh, it's the oil pump, everybody. The oil pump and the tubing. Brand spanking new oil pump. See that? Let me take it out of the package. I can put my phone down. Okay, yay, brand spanking new, nothing wrong with it, should be freshly greased, it should be just a matter of putting it in. Hey, okay, and what else did it come with? It came with these clips too, that's awesome. I'll just put those to a side right there. That is very awesome, I'm very happy with that. And the tube. Oh, looks like it came with 2 of them. Yep, that's right, because it... Okay, so now, this one here, what is in this one here? Let's empty it out. What does that say? What's that say? What's that say? Made in China. And where's it from? Get to it sales. Okay. Oh, that's what that is. That's the reed valve. The reed valve. I bought a new reed valve just in case the old one was letting air in. Just in case. Right? So here's the brand spanking new reed valve. Yes. Okay. Put that aside. Okay, what is in here? The piston. The piston. The piston and... Oh, it's got something else with it. Yeah? What's this? Oh, that's the rod that goes into there. And 2 rings. 2 rings. Okay. And we got a gasket. That is the gaskets for... You know, I got an X-Acto knife here. Let me open that with one hand. Being careful not to sever. Let me put my phone down. Okay. Gasket material for... Oh, the reed valve. So this is the reed valve gasket. And these are the gaskets for the cylinder head. Okay, gaskets inside. Is there any more? Is there any more? No, that is it. Okay. Alright, everybody. You know what? There's supposed to be another bearing. I am pretty sure that there's supposed to be 2, which connect on both sides of the... I will have to check my order, but I am 100% sure there's supposed to be 2. It's probably missing in the packaging somewhere. I'm going to have to look for it. But yeah, ladies and gentlemen, that... Oh, you know what? Let's open our brake shoes up. Let's open our brake shoes up. Oh, shit, eh? Wow, look at that. Nice. Nice. Nice, nice, nice. Ooh. Ooh. Okay. We got everything here that I ordered. With the exception of only 1 bearing. We are going to check our packaging for that bearing. I'm also going to see if this is actually going to work. And honestly, ladies and gentlemen, what we do now is we take the old engine, we plop it onto this area here. We put these back into a bigger box. And then we start stripping. Soon as I find out where that other bearing is. Gosh. Okay. I just went and bought a brand new bearing for Daytona Motorsports in Vancouver. So this is what I ordered from Get To It Sales online. This is the one that they supplied me from Yamaha. It's a Yamaha part. This one is like freshly greased and everything. Okay. So this is the box that it came in. The numbers for this are stamped right onto there. 6204-Z2, and he was able to cross-reference it with this one here. This one, the stamps on there are just a little bit different. IE I508, or I don't even know. Anyhow, but yeah, so now we've got 2 identical bearings for the crankshaft, and now we can proceed. Okay, once again, stripping down. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna start with this. Using a crosshead to take off the bolts. Then we're gonna use an 8mm to take off the carburetor at the rev valve. Then we're gonna use, we're gonna take off the cylinder head. Not to mention the wheel. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so yeah, just a small mention, when you guys are taking this off, that little nut right there is what is supposed to be there when you're taking the wheel off. Okay, that nut, not to mention that washer. I'm talking about the washer. This is what the washer looks like. It is the one that fits right there, and it is supposed to be there. Okay, so do not lose this at all. Now keep in mind that big washer, that is exactly where it's supposed to be. You see that brass one there that's sort of loose? That's the one that goes right there, and it stays there when you put your wheel in. Okay, just letting everybody know this now. Okay, now that everything is off on both sides, now we're going to work on taking this side off, and how I do it is with an 18mm socket, and this is the get up that I use to loosen off this nut. Okay, clearly I can't do it with one hand. I gotta take my phone down, so I'm gonna get this nut off for you guys. Pay attention to how nuts and bolts comes off, because once you get this off, you got a little washer there, and that little washer is part of that giddy up. It's gotta come out. All right, so we're gonna take that out, and once that comes out, then this entire bell can come off. All right, it's gotta do it in that order. So take pictures of everything that you're doing. In order to get this off, you need the jaws of life, a jaw puller. And this is going to pop off because there's a magnet. And even I have a hard time getting it off with one hand. That right there, that's a magnet. That's a magnet. So, yeah, that's what it looks like after you get that off. So, moving on. Okay, this comes off with a nut right there and a nut right there. Just two of them, and this entire thing comes off. This here comes off with it. Alright? And like I said, pay attention. Take that keyway out of there too, like I'm about to. This is what it looks like entirely once it has come out. Let's analyze it. Alright? Just two screws that are holding it in, and that wiring there comes out of that top hole right there. That grommet right there is a part of it, so don't yank on any of this wiring. It's extremely important. This is the generator. Okay, so putting this down, let's look at this now. Okay, so now we've gotten to the part where we can take out that yellow bit there, and I gotta take the pliers which I bought. I can't remember the name of the pliers, snap pliers, ring pliers. Take those out, and then we can work on the other side. All right. Oh, we're gonna take this out too. When any of you are taking this out, you're gonna see something fall out, and it's this pin. Okay, so that pin goes into a little hole which is right there. Okay, that pin goes into that hole, so be mindful of that pin. Don't lose it, otherwise this might not work correctly. Okay, now that we have everything out, we have gone as far as we can go. And that right there is the seal. In order to get that seal out, this crankshaft needs to come out, which means these two parts right here need to separate. Okay, that's why we're taking one side off and the other side. So now that this is done, we're going to flip it around and do the other side. Okay, this side now. Once again, we're going to use the socket, and as before, this will spin on you, so I usually put something in here and then jam it in here. These here are the two little grommets. Right there, you got to pay attention to those. Those rubber pieces are right there. Those come out and they go back right into there. Okay, I use a screwdriver. I put it into one of the holes to help me get leverage to pull that nut out. And as I just said before on the other side, be careful with your nuts and your bolts and your washers, because after this one comes off, there's a little washer right there that will come out too. Okay. And then these two pieces slide out. Put that one there. This one comes off nicely, right? See? And that one goes right there. And then your belt can come off. That's technically how you take the belt off and adjust it. And then this part can come off. It slides off too. See that? So be careful when taking this one off, because look at this. You see this one part right here? This will come out too. So be mindful that when this comes out, this is also loose. This is meant to come out as well. Once you get that piece off, you're going to have these rollers fall out on you, and there is 6 of them. And those rollers fit into there exactly like those two do. Okay, so collect them nicely, put them into there, and then put them away carefully. Okay, doesn't need to be tidy, just make sure they're all together. And then this part here, like I said, comes off nicely, and it fits into there nicely. All right, now we're at this part. Let me get everything organized here. Okay, so this part here slides off nicely. Hey, nice and easy. Don't rip it off. There's nothing on the back here. Right, put that down. This part here comes off just as nicely. All right, they're geared in. There's no marking as to which way is up, down, left, right, or center. They just go onto there. Don't rip these off. Okay. This is having a bit of a difficult with me. I'm just gonna baby it. Baby it. Yes. Yes. Come on. Here we go. All right. That's supposed to look like in there. Okay. Now we got to this part here. Let me put this down, all down, before I get to that. Okay, before I can do any more with this here, I'm gonna take off the starter gears right there. So that's those. This here entire instrument is holding this in. We're just holding this in. Okay, I'm gonna take those two off. Okay, now that those are out, this larger gear can come out. All right, and it should come out with no problem. It's probably going to be slippery and greasy as it is for me. Technically it should come on. There we go. It comes out just like that. Look at the inside, look for wear and tear. Make sure this doesn't hit the ground. If it hits the ground, you could screw up a tooth and it is game over. Handle these things with care. I'm going to put that down. I'm going to look at the inside here. I need some inside snap pliers. I might be able just to use these ones here just to get those out. Okay, and I think this one here comes out as well. Yeah, this comes out. Be mindful of that. Take a picture of that. Okay, always take pictures of everything then when they come apart so you know how to put them back together again. Okay, so after getting the other side done, I flipped it over to where the nuts are on this side. Now, in the last video, if you remember me saying that I was scared to use a screwdriver like this tip to go and undo those huge, big nuts that are in there, right? Because they are probably so stuck in there with death grip that this is probably going to strip them. So I went and bought some heavy-duty nuts that were specifically designed for torque. Okay, and I'm going to use this. Now in the last video, as well as my shorts, I've always told you never do that on these because you could strip the friggin' nuts. However, I'm going to use a wrench to try to torque those, and if that does not work, then I might just have to use it. That's going to be my last resort if this does not work. Okay, now, the reason why we're doing this is because there's a seam. As I told you in the last video, you can see that. There's a seam right there. Okay, so, let me try to zoom out. This does not have a gasket in it. It has sealant, gasket sealant, which is a compound which holds it all together. And that is what I'm going to be using to put this on here. If you're wondering if you should make a gasket out of material, no, you should not. And the reason being why you should not do that is because of the distance between these two bolts need to be absolutely perfect. Not to mention, these two need to be absolutely perfect. This has to do with the friggin' engine part of that, right? So, if you put a gasket right there around the entire engine, you're spreading it out at a certain distance, whether it be an 1/8, a 16th, or a 32nd, you're screwing up the measurements between this one and this one. Only use gasket sealer that resists oil and gas. And no gasket, don't make anything to put in between here on the entire block. Okay, so I'm going to flip this over so it's laying down. Okay, and then I'm gonna try to torque those freaking things apart. And I'm definitely not gonna take a video of me doing that. The next video will be just me totally completely exhausted at half the day. Here we go. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, I got this one here loose by hand, and the others were stuck. And believe it or not, I used this contraption here, and I got them all loose within 25 seconds. A lot of people just go and hit the trigger, and you strip them. That's how you do it. But how I did it, like, and then they came loose. So those are gonna come out, and then we're just gonna slowly peel this apart. Oh shit, I gotta take this off too, darn it. Okay, all the bolts have been removed, and these are them. Now let's look at them. They are all the same thread, they are all the same length, therefore they are all the same screw. Just in case you want to be extra careful, you can line them up like this, stick them into a piece of cardboard or a piece of styrofoam to keep them so that when you put them in exact same order. That is technically what I will do. But now this can come off, and before we do that, I'm just going to manage with these bolts here. Give me a minute. Before I can separate this side from this side, this bar needs to come off. There is snap rings on this side and snap rings on that side. So after that bar came loose out of there, it kind of separated this a little bit. So now we know that it's going to come out, but this part here is going to come up, and that is going to slide along here. What I'm expecting is there to be pins in there which lock this into place. So I'm going to be trying to take this out very slowly. I'm going to grease this up a little bit here too. Okay, it popped off nicely, doing it nice and slow. Tip tap, tip tap, tip tap. I was talking about the pins. There is one right there, and the other one is right here. Okay, so let's look at this side first. There was a whole bunch of gunk, and I just cleaned this up with WD-40 and brake cleaner so we can have an idea of the edge around here. This edge is nice and clean. I didn't scrub anything off of it. So when we look at this side, there is a bit of a film residue, as you can see, which is probably what created that seal between the two. So when you look at this part, you can see that it's a bit dirty in there. It's a little bit worn out. This part here looks pretty nice. When I checked for wear on this, it's tight. It's still tight onto the crankshaft. Still goes nicely. But we're gonna replace this. We're gonna replace this, the seals, those seals in there, and I'm gonna pull this off of this part here now. We're gonna analyze that. Okay, old, new. Look at them together. Put the video on pause if you want. So, as you can, well, you know, when I flush this out, there's just a little bit of crud into there. There's a bit of crud into there. We're gonna flip this over. This part fits directly right onto this face here, as you can see. I just flushed it out with some brake cleaner. There was crud in there, and I'm wondering, maybe that crud was enough to get inside that seals, but regardless, we're going to replace both of those seals anyways, before we put the new one in. A lot of you would be just saying this, put them in, put some goop on the hand, just send it. Okay, that's a redneck, cowardly way of engine rebuilding. What I'm going to do is I'm actually going to clean this entire freaking thing out so there's no grease whatsoever anywhere. We're going to use a plastic toothbrush to get rid of all this grease and gunk on this side too, over there, all that. It's going to contaminate my work area, right? You're wondering, why are those still on there? Well, these are going to come off too. I just couldn't take them off at the time, but I will. So next video you're about to see is everything all nice and cleaned, and we're gonna analyze and inspect these two, how they fit together, and the bearings, the new bearings and the new seals. So that's that. I think we're gonna put the brakes on. This is the old, this is the new. This is the old when I come off like that. Alright, so I clean this off with WD-40 and brake cleaner. Remember that this is what the your handle brake's attached to in the bottom with the cable, and it squeezes these out. Okay, so these part here, they open up like a vagina and they go into here and they clasp. Okay, and then this is what closes it, and this is what opens the brake when you release them. Okay, so it makes them expand or contract when you hit the brake. All right, so how do they go on? How do you know which way they goes on? Does it go on this way, or does it go on this way? Because no, it has to do with the springs. The springs have to be facing out. They have to be on the outside of these two shoes for you to access those springs. Okay, and then you just put them on there. You just put them on there, and then you take one hand, you open this up, put it over the pin, open these up, you put it on that pin, and just like that, you got your new brakes on. And that's pretty simple how they go on. I can't do everything with two hands, so I'm going to try to do that with my phone off. Okay, for those of you wondering how you put the brake on, this spring comes off first. Okay, it comes off, and then you put the other one on. You gotta fold it like a taco, put it on there, and then open it up, and then situate it directly right onto that pin so it's nice. Okay, the spring attached. Okay, then you put the other spring into that hole, and you take some needle nose pliers, you grab that one and you pull it onto there. That is how you set those brakes for that. And remember I was talking about this? Okay. This is how the brakes work. So it sits like this. Neutral position. And you want to stop. You're going to pull the brake. You hit your handlebar like this, grab it. You're going to grab it, and it's going to pull it apart. Okay, it's going to pull it this way. Just like that. All the way. And then those brakes are going to spread out and hit the drum of the wheel. That's how that works. That's it. It is ring seal time. This is the ring seal. That's the big one that attaches to this side. One side has got the spring into it, as you can see, and the other side looks flat like that. It goes in like this, right? Like that. Now, it's got to fit nice and snug into there, because if you remember, there is a snap ring which goes into this groove on the inside wall here. And you can see that groove right into there. Where my fingernail is, where that groove is. Okay, so there's a groove here, another groove. This one is for the seal, this one is for the snap ring. Okay, that's where that goes into. It fits against this. Alright, the second seal. There's the gold side, and there's the spring side. You can see the spring in there. So, if you can see like the lip right there, then you look at this, and this goes right onto there just like that, and you press it on there. Usually what I do, whenever I deal with these things, I put a film of grease onto here, a film of grease around here. That helps ensure a nice tight seal. That is what I had done onto this one. That is what I will do onto this one. Okay. Okay, everybody, so now we have the crankshaft. I just thought of something. You all need to know this. Some of you might be wondering which way that you put the crankshaft. Does it go in this way? Or does it go in this way? Okay, there's a very important Something that you should see about this crankshaft, and that is this here, splined end. This here is what is driving the piston, which means it is driving the back wheel. So this part goes like this. When you look at this part, okay, this is the brake. This part is where the belt goes onto. So the belt goes onto this part here, which rotates and spins this end of the crankshaft. So this sticks down when you're looking at it at this arrangement. All right. And this does nothing. This has to do with there's the keyway for the drum that we see on the other side there for the bell and the generator. Okay, so let's remember that. Now we put the bearings on. When I have put bearings on before, I have put so much son of a bitchin' grease inside and on the inside here and on here as well. And then these will be a tight fit once you put them on. Does it matter if it's this way or if it's this way? Does it matter? No. If you look at the bearing, it doesn't really matter. There's writing on there. Some people would say put the writing facing out like this. So that way, if you, in case that you need to fix it again, you can see that those numbers. So you know what? Just for the sake of argument, we're going to put the numbers on the outside on the bearing. And the same thing on this one. We're going to lubricate the hell out of the inside of the bearings there. Put some grease onto here, and then numbers on the outside. So in, and then these can be popped into both sides of the block. Okay, new crankshaft. I got the bearings on both sides, heavily greased, as I just said. For those of you who are wondering how you get these set into there from so far, what I did, because I'm a scaffolder, I used my spanner. I put it into here, and then I used the socket on top of this, and then I just used a wrench to tap it. Tap, 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 until the bearing was against this. Now, if you're wondering that if you bang it too far, will this still spin? That would not be correct, because on the underside of the of this crank, a little bit of the metal is sticking out, pushing against the inner bearing. And the same thing with this side here too. Okay, so after having done that, now these can be set back into the block. Okay, so the time has come to put this block onto this part here. I went and put gray stuff all over the surfaces where they're going to be touching each other. Previously, they seem to have done the exact same thing, so make sure that on both sides you have a lot of that glue to hold it together. Otherwise there's going to be a leak, and we don't want leaks. And the way that I'm going to do this is when this goes on there, I'm going to use that screw into those holes to cinch it together nice and tightly. And hopefully that works. Woohoo! Okay, so I got this on there. Those 6 nuts actually cinched everything together nicely. And I put a nut on here. And when you go to spin this, there should be just a little bit of resistance when you are turning the crank. It's not really supposed to spin freely by hand, because it's supposed to be a nice tight connection on every single joint that we had put into there. Plus the grease that I went and smeared everywhere is helping this lubrication. You should not be able to spin this by hand at all. Now, as a result of those 6 nuts that are in there, they are actually tight, because I went and smeared in the gasket sealer in there. So what I'm going to do, because we're dealing with vibrations, I'm going to put thread locker. I'm going to take one out, put thread locker in, put it back in, do the same thing with the second one in a star pattern, okay? And then once I have everything all in there thread locked, I'm going to crank it all again. And then this should be ready to be assembled just like it was. Okay, so I'm gonna put the thread locker on there, then everything goes back together. Okay everyone, so I have an idea. I bought a new reed valve with a new reed valve gasket. New piston head with the rings and the wrist pin race. Not to mention this here too. I cleaned that up. And I got to wondering, since this is because of the pressure that is in the block, I'm wondering if I just put the reed valve onto here, secured it down with the rubber stopper, put the cylinder and the piston all back together, and then what I think I could do is hook up the cylinder to the compression checker and just have this drill hooked up to one end here and spin this and get that piston going up and down that gets the compression checker, and see how our compression is. A lot of you might think, well, no, that's not going to work. No. This is just an idea that I had, considering that is a new seal that I just put in. That is the new seal that I just put in. I just put a nice fresh thing of gasket sealer all the way around, and therefore these are the two openings that are letting air in. Not to mention, not only I have the gaskets for this particular too. I have the gaskets for all the gaskets for this, the block, this here. So I'm wondering, I should be able to do that. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to put together the cylinder, the piston, the reed valve, and we're going to use that drill to check the pressure. Hopefully everything worked out the way I wanted it to, and by the time I'm done doing all that, that bead there should be nice and dry. And look at the heat out here. It's like freaking 28 degrees above. That should be nice and dry by the time I'm ready to go. So here I go. Okay, so as you can see, the cylinder is on there. For those of you wondering which direction that arrow should be pointing, according to the manual that I downloaded, that arrow needs to point towards the exhaust, which is these bolts here connect to the exhaust. Okay, now this here gasket is a aluminum one. There's no rubber anything whatsoever, and as you can tell, it's got a lip here. For those of you wondering which way do you put it up, I actually do not know. So I'm going to put it just like that, with the cylinder head on top of it. And there is an actual way that the cylinder head goes onto here because of this nib. I gotta find that. Just give me a minute. Okay everybody, this is the moment of truth. I got my compression checker hooked up to the cylinder. It's nice and tight in there. Got the gaskets, and brand new gasket there. Brand new gasket in here. The reed valve is brand spanking new, and for those of you that want to know, that air goes into the reed valve, but it does not let it out. Because of the compression stroke, the reed valve prevents excess air from exiting into the carburetor because of the compression stroke. This is a two-stroke engine that uses mixed gas. We're going to hook up the drill to this. We're going to test the compression. So let me zoom out. I can zoom out. Here we go. And 3, 2, 1. What do we have? Ooh, 90. That is way better than 60. That is way better than 60. I'm very happy with that. And the needle's not going down either. That is good. In fact, I would consider this a success, if anything. Because I'm going to go to the book. Okay, the book says compression ratio 90 to 120 psi. So that is what we have, ladies and gentlemen. I would consider that majorly fixed. And so therefore, this is a success. You know what? I'm pretty sure once I put everything together, then I'll probably we'll check the compression again once we get the electric starter on, the kicker on. Maybe that'll change, but for right now, I'm very happy with this. Yay. Oh my gosh, what a huge relief this was. The seals on both sides of the friggin' crankshaft and a new crankshaft. Oh, I'm gonna go get so pissed right now after this. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you. Have a good day. Okay, so I flipped it over and I got this part installed exactly as it is that I said. Now, I just seen something here I wanted everybody to know. Remember those seals that I put in? So this is the one for the other side, or this side, and the other side is in as well. This part here, you see with this screw, this is what is keeping this ring seal from slipping out. Okay, and on the other one, it was an internal ring seal, snap ring, which was held together by the housing. And that prevented the same thing, the seal from slipping out. So, because of the pressure that is inside the block, it has enough pressure to push these out. Okay, and that's what this is for. To prevent this from coming out, as well as the other side with the snap ring. So, make sure that these are tight, and you don't necessarily have to bend this to put the pressure on this when you're tightening this up. So, I just wanted to point that out, what this is, so do not forget to put this part in and tighten that up with a thread locker. So, having said that, we're going to move on to putting everything back together onto here. Ooh la la, everybody. This is the brand spanking new oil pump. Okay? Look at it, it shines. Ooh, I bought this from Get To It sales. I'm not gonna take this apart because the last one I already did. I still have the old one. If you're wondering how to put it in, it goes in like this. Okay? Just like that. Into there, okay? So, what I'm gonna do was a good idea. Put some seal of grease around this before you put that in to ensure a nice tight seal. You see these two bolts right here? This is the original one with the crosshead. This is the one that I just bought from Canadian Tire, and it's totally different. It's a square head. Okay, I had to make this because I couldn't find one like this one. They probably exist, but they're all mainly that head, Canadian Tire. Anyways, maybe some of you can find one that are crossheads, but until then, this one's gonna work. And that's how I'm gonna fasten that into the block. And when you put this in, smear the hell out of everything with son of a bitchin' grease. Put so much freaking grease into this that is gooping, okay? That's gonna ensure that it slides nicely. Alright, so I'm gonna get working on that. Let's talk about hose. Specifically, fuel hose. As much as I would like to talk to you about the Vancouver hose that are made in Hastings, the ones that look good, that cost you 20 bucks, my favorite, the intention of this video is the rebuild of this engine, so we're going to talk about fuel hose. The black one here is what came with the fuel pump, or the oil pump. The clear one here is the one that I usually buy for all my weed whackers and engines. So after thinking about it, when I got this black one compared to the ones that I use, I would prefer to use a clear one so that way I can see if the fuel the liquid is flowing through the hose. I am a nosy son of a bitch, and I want to see, I want to look, I want to be voyeuristic, I want to watch. I like watching. Okay, so we're going to use this instead of the black one. If you're wondering, hey, that's not rated, stick it. They sell these as fuel hoses, so if it holds fuel, it holds oil too. And this part goes into there, all right? And it comes with the clippies, brand spanking new clippies for that. So I'm going to put this in, all right? And then that's going to be that. So this is our completely rebuilt engine for our scooter. Oh my gosh. Okay, so fuel hose here is hooked up, and it's the original, or not the original, it's a fuel hose for the oil pump, which is nicely installed. The cable will go into here nicely, and a lot of you are looking at this and say that's not a fuel hose, because if you look on there it says food grade. Okay, so I agree with you. This is not a fuel hose, this is a food grade hose for whatever reason, but this is going to be used temporary to look at the flow of liquids in this hose. As I had said earlier, we're going to do that. Okay, let's look at the other aspects of the engine. The starter has been all cleaned up. This connection here has been nicely cleaned. And granted, I cannot get that screw off, so we're just going to assume that's working good. The switch here, the connection has been taken out and scraped out. Same with this. Same with this. I got new brakes that we just put in. And you know what, let me put this on pause and turn it over. So we got the kickstand put on there. This is on here nicely now. As you can see, the gasket is right there with screws, the one in the middle. Eventually we will put liquid into here for the brake or whatever the hell that is. We'll read up on that. The serial number for the engine. The brand spanking new carburetor, which is called a Mikuni style carburetor, which is not an actual Mikuni. I would be questioning this completely, but that is what was sent to me through the Get To It sales. These two parts here, do not forget about them. Those have something to do with another attachment. I don't know what it is. I'll find out soon. The fuel hose comes into this here part from the gas tank. Where is something else here? Yeah, this part here connects to the this connects to the oil reservoir. This here is a nipple to drain the fuel out, or if you want to inject fuel into. Okay, and as this is our cylinder head, this was cleaned out. There's a new gasket between here, there's a new gasket between here. What else can I say about it other than I don't know? But now this will get properly installed back into the scooter with the hoses hooked up back to the carburetor and whatnot. So here we go. Okay, final and last test. Not really, but we're just gonna say so because now we have the complete engine rebuilt. We got the fuel line hooked up, the mixed gas 50-to-1. We got the hose going to the fuel pump. We're gonna see if the fluid flows from there. We got the oil tube. We're gonna see if the fuel flows from there. The battery is 100% all charged up. We're just gonna turn it on, and we're just gonna see if the starter works, because the last time that I tried it, we had a click, right? It was this connection issue right here. There's a connection issue right there, so hopefully that doesn't have anything to do with it. So we're just gonna put it on choke. This is gonna be a dry run with no starter fluid. So here we go. Oh, and the switch is on. Both brakes are depressed. I'm gonna cheer them up later. Here we go. 3, 2, 1. Electrical start. Ah. Oh, duh. let's try to kickstart. Oh, my kickstart. Oh, you know what? I have an idea why that is. Ah, darn it. Okay, so starter fluid. Yes, you guys hear that rattling? That's coming from in here. I forgot to tighten up the bolt that is on the inside here. Oops. Let me work on that. Yeah, you see this nut right here? I forgot to tighten that up. Oh, or I have a blonde moment. Everybody has a blonde moment every once in a while. It's an 11/16 inch. It was a bit loose. Okay, so I'm gonna put my phone down and jam something into there so that way I can torque this a little bit better. Okay, we got that problem fixed, and as we can tell now, we got the kick working. Okay, so let's try it again. We did have it running before. It is starting, which means that's working. Battery's working. Everything is working. So we're gonna hit the gas one more time. It's to start. Here we go. Why is it not working? Oh. Electrical. The electrical. The electrical. Here we go. Taking a choke off. We're going to hit the handlebar and then do it. Choke it again. Starting. Let's put some starter fluid in there again. Alright. Do it again. Unchoke. Let's take the choke off. Let's hit the handle just a little bit. Start it again. Starter fluid. Start again. Okay, we just have to adjust the air. Okay, so we have to adjust the air mixture and the idle. This one here is the air mixture. I have this pulled out by one full turn. This is the idle screw. I have this pulled out one full turn. So on the idle, I'm going to pull it out half a turn. And on this one, we're going to go a quarter of a turn. There we go. Now we're going to do it again. Here we go. Choke on. Choke off. Oh. I'm going to take choke off. Okay, let's do some starter fluid. Choke off. Okay, we're gonna pull. Here's my screw. Turn it. We're gonna hit the idle out another quarter of a turn. Then we're gonna hit it again. Choke on. Choke off. Air mixture out a quarter of a turn. Choke on. That was choke off and it killed. Okay. Alright, so now we know that I have it running. It started up just a little bit there. It was starting when I put starter fluid in. It kicked up a lot. So now it's just a matter of tuning that carburetor in to get it running functionally. Even though it's not a true Mikuni carburetor, it's a Mikuni style carburetor. The Get To It sales sold me a knockoff, which means I could use the original Mikuni, so I will have to look into that at a later date. But everything in there is brand spanking new, and as you can see, it was just starting to run. So I'm just going to piss around with the controls a little bit, and the next video is going to be showing it idling perfectly. So I'm just happy with it right now. That is working. I'm going to check the compression at a later date, and I'm just going to keep pissing with it right now. And that will be it for the last day of rebuild. It's all rebuilt, just gotta fine tune it now. Hoo-yah. That is it, ladies and gentlemen, for now. Have a good one. Shit.